I was taking out the trash when I saw it. A pregnancy test. 2 pink lines. Positive. My wife, Amanda, was in the shower, humming some song I didn't recognize. We hadn't had sex in 6 months. Not 6 weeks. Not 6 days. 6 months. I stood there in our kitchen, holding a trash bag in one hand and that test in the other, and my brain just stopped. Then it started calculating. If she's pregnant and we haven't touched each other since March, that means... I heard the shower turn off. I had about 3 minutes before she came out. 3 minutes to decide what kind of man I was going to be. The old me would have exploded, screamed, thrown things, demanded answers. But I'd learned something in the last year, something she didn't know about. I'd learned patience. I'd learned strategy. And I'd learned that sometimes the best move is to let your opponent think they're winning. So I did something she'd never expect. I put the test back in the trash, tied up the bag, took it outside, and when she came out of the bathroom in her robe, hair wrapped in a towel, I smiled and said, "Hey, babe, how was your shower?" She smiled back. "Good. You okay? You look weird." "Just tired," I said. "Long day." She kissed my cheek, the first time she'd touched me in weeks, and walked to the bedroom. I stood there, phone in my pocket, already composing a text to someone she'd never met. Someone who'd been helping me prepare for exactly this moment. If you want to know what I did next, and why her affair partner's wife called me crying 3 days later, hit subscribe. Because what I found in that trash can wasn't just a pregnancy test. It was the last piece of a puzzle I'd been building for 8 months. And when it all came together, it didn't just end my marriage. It ended 3 others. My name is Nathan Cross. I'm 38 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas. For the last 10 years, I've worked as a software engineer for a mid-sized tech company. Good salary, decent benefits, the kind of job that lets you live comfortably in a city that's gotten way too expensive. My wife, Amanda, is 36. We've been married for 9 years. No kids. Her choice, she said. Maybe someday, just not yet. Someday kept getting pushed back, year after year. I stopped asking around year 5. We lived in a nice house in South Austin, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a backyard with a live oak tree that dropped leaves year-round. From the outside, we looked like every other couple on our street. Happy, stable, normal. From the inside, we were strangers who shared a mortgage. The distance started about 2 years ago. Small things at first. She stopped asking about my day, stopped laughing at my jokes, started spending more time on her phone. Work stuff, she'd say when I asked. Amanda worked as a marketing director for a fitness company. Long hours, lots of travel, team-building events that always seemed to happen on weekends. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? We were married. We'd built a life together.
But trust is a funny thing. It's invisible until it breaks, and then you realize it was the only thing holding everything up. 6 months ago, our bedroom died. Not slowly, suddenly. One night in March, I reached for her. She pulled away. "I'm tired," she said. "Okay, fair enough." A week later, I tried again. Same response. A month later, I stopped trying. She didn't notice, or if she did, she didn't care. We became roommates, polite, distant, occupying the same space but living separate lives. I told myself it was a phase, stress from work, hormones, something fixable. I didn't realize I was making excuses for someone who'd already checked out. The first real crack appeared in July. I came home early from work. Rare, but our sprint finished ahead of schedule. Amanda's car was in the driveway. I walked in expecting to surprise her. Instead, I heard her voice from the bedroom, laughing, the kind of laugh I hadn't heard in years. I stopped in the hallway. She was on the phone. The door was half closed. I know, she said, voice low and warm. I miss you too. Pause. He's at work. He won't be home for hours. My stomach dropped. I wish you were here right now, she continued. I hate waiting. I stood there, frozen, listening to my wife talk to someone else the way she used to talk to me. Then I heard it, the thing that made my blood go cold. I love you too. I backed away slowly, quietly, grabbed my keys and left. Drove around for 2 hours before coming back. When I walked in, she was on the couch, watching TV like nothing had happened. Hey, babe, she said, you're home early. Yeah, I said, finished up. She smiled, went back to her show. I went to the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, hands shaking. That's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her, not yet. I was going to find out everything first. I'm a software engineer. I know systems. I know data. I know how to find patterns in noise. So I started looking. First, I checked our phone bill. Online account, easy access. Amanda had been texting one number more than any other. Hundreds of messages, calls that lasted hours. I ran the number through a reverse lookup. It came back to a name, Ryan Mitchell. I didn't recognize it. I dug deeper. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Ryan Mitchell, 34 years old, personal trainer at the same fitness company where Amanda worked. Married, 2 kids. His wife's name was Stephanie. I stared at his profile picture. Him and his family at the beach, big smiles, picture perfect. And I thought, does she know? I didn't stop there. I installed a GPS tracker on Amanda's car, small, magnetic, stuck under the rear bumper, $40 on Amazon. I set up alerts on our credit cards. Every charge, I'd get a notification. I started paying attention to her patterns, when she left, when she came home, what she said versus what she did. I became a detective in my own marriage, and the more I looked, the worse it got.
Amanda started working late 3 nights a week. The GPS showed her car at the same address every time, an apartment complex in North Austin. I drove by one night, saw her car in the parking lot, saw Ryan's truck parked next to it. I sat there for an hour, watching the lights in a second-floor window. Then I left. I didn't knock on the door, didn't make a scene. I just collected data. Because I'd learned something important. Emotion loses, evidence wins. In August, Amanda went on a work trip to Dallas. The company was hosting a regional conference. 3 days, all expenses paid. She kissed me goodbye at the door. I'll miss you, she said. I smiled. Miss you too. The second her car pulled out of the driveway, I checked the GPS. She wasn't going to Dallas. She was going to Fredericksburg, a small town an hour west, known for wineries and bed and breakfasts. I checked our credit card. A charge appeared. Hill Country Inn, 2 nights, $450. I pulled up their website. Romantic getaway packages, couples massages, private hot tubs. I sat there staring at the screen, and something inside me just turned off. Not rage, not sadness, just cold, clear focus. I didn't confront her when she got back. I asked how the conference was. Exhausting, she said, but productive. Learn anything new? Just the usual marketing trends, social media strategies. She was a good liar, I'll give her that, but I was a better detective. September came, then October. I kept watching, kept collecting. Hotel receipts, text message logs, GPS data showing her at her apartment twice a week. I built a timeline, a spreadsheet, dates, locations, expenses. I even hired a private investigator, paid in cash, nothing traceable. He got photos, Amanda and Ryan at a restaurant, holding hands, kissing in a parking lot. I looked at those photos and felt nothing. The man I used to be would have been destroyed. The man I'd become just filed them away. Because I wasn't building a case to win her back, I was building a case to walk away clean. Then came the pregnancy test.
October 15th, a Tuesday. I was taking out the trash, my weekly chore, one of the few we still divided. I pulled the bag out of the kitchen can and felt something hard inside. I looked. Pregnancy test. 2 pink lines. Positive. I stood there, bag in hand, and did the math. We hadn't had sex since March, 7 months. If she was pregnant, it wasn't mine. My first instinct was to storm into the bathroom and confront her, but then I stopped because I realized she doesn't know I know. She thinks I'm clueless, the oblivious husband who works long hours and doesn't ask questions. If I confront her now, she'll have time to prepare, to spin a story, to call a lawyer. But if I stay quiet, if I let her think she's safe, I can control the narrative. I put the test back in the trash, tied up the bag, took it outside.
When Amanda came out of the shower, I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone like nothing had happened. "Hey, babe," I said. "How was your shower?" She smiled. "Good. You okay? You look weird." "Just tired. Long day." She kissed my cheek, first time in weeks, and went to the bedroom. I waited until she was asleep. Then I went to my car, pulled out my laptop, and sent 3 emails. 1 to my lawyer, 1 to my private investigator, and 1 to Stephanie Mitchell, Ryan's wife. The email to Stephanie was simple. Subject: We need to talk. Mrs. Mitchell, you don't know me, but I believe our spouses are having an affair. I have evidence. If you're willing to meet, I'd like to share it with you. I'm not looking for drama. I'm looking for the truth. If you're interested, please respond. Nathan. I hit send and closed the laptop. Then I went inside and climbed into bed next to my wife. She was asleep, one hand resting on her stomach. I stared at the ceiling and waited. Stephanie responded the next morning. "I've suspected for months. When can we meet?" We met at a coffee shop in Round Rock, neutral territory, public but quiet. Stephanie was 33, blonde, looked exhausted, the kind of tired that comes from not sleeping, not from working. She sat down across from me, hands wrapped around a coffee cup she wasn't drinking. "How long have you known?" she asked. "Since July. You?" "I started noticing things in May. Late nights, new cologne. He started going to the gym more." She laughed bitterly. "Ironic, right? He's a personal trainer." I slid a folder across the table. "This is everything I have. Dates, locations, photos." She opened it, flipped through slowly. Her hands started shaking. "There's more," I said quietly. "My wife is pregnant." Stephanie's head snapped up. "What?" "I don't know if it's his, but the timing matches." She closed the folder, set it down carefully. "What do you want to do?" "I want to divorce my wife," I said. "Cleanly, quietly, with evidence she can't dispute." "And you want my help?" "I want us to coordinate, so they can't spin this, so we control the story." She stared at me for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay." Over the next 2 weeks, Stephanie and I became unlikely allies. We shared information, timelines, screenshots. She'd been tracking Ryan's location too. We compared notes. The overlap was damning. Every time Amanda said she was working late, Ryan told Stephanie he was training a client. Every work trip Amanda took, Ryan had a fitness conference. They weren't just having an affair. They'd built a whole second life, and now apparently they were bringing a child into it. I still hadn't confronted Amanda. I played the role of the oblivious husband, smiled, made small talk, pretended everything was fine.
But I was moving pieces into place. I met with my lawyer, filed preliminary paperwork, opened a separate bank account. I documented every shared asset, every joint account, every piece of property. I moved money, carefully, legally, into accounts she couldn't access.
I wasn't hiding assets, I was protecting them. Because I knew the moment she found out I knew, she'd try to take everything. The confrontation came on a Saturday. Amanda was in the kitchen, making coffee. She'd been quieter than usual all week. I walked in, phone in hand. "Hey," I said casually, "can we talk?" She looked up. "Sure, what's up?" I set my phone on the counter, opened the Photos app, turned it toward her. On the screen, Amanda and Ryan kissing in a parking lot. Her face went white. "Nathan, how far along are you?" I asked calmly. She froze. "What?" "The pregnancy test, in the trash. How far along?" Her mouth opened, closed. I don't... "We haven't had sex in 7 months," I continued, voice steady. "So unless this is an immaculate conception, I'm guessing it's Ryan's." Tears started falling. "Nathan, please." "Does he know?" I haven't told him yet." "Does his wife know?" She blinked. "What?" I picked up my phone, pulled up another photo, this one of Stephanie and me at the coffee shop. "Stephanie and I have been comparing notes," I said. "Turns out you and Ryan aren't as careful as you thought." Amanda's legs gave out. She sank into a chair. "How long have you known?" she whispered. "Long enough." She tried to explain, to justify. "You were never home. You stopped trying. I felt invisible." I listened without interrupting. When she finished, I said one thing. "You could have left. You could have been honest. Instead, you lied for months." "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I know, but sorry doesn't fix this." I slid a folder across the table. "These are divorce papers. I'm filing on Monday. You can sign now or you can wait for your lawyer. Either way, it's happening." She stared at the folder like it was a bomb. "Nathan, please, we can work through this. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want." "I don't want to work through this," I said quietly. "I want to move on." She didn't sign that day, but she did call Ryan. I know because Stephanie texted me. "He just got a call. He's freaking out." An hour later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello?" "This is Ryan." His voice was tight, angry. "We need to talk." "No, we don't." "You can't just..." "I can, and I am. You want to talk to someone? Talk to your wife. She's got questions too." I hung up. 5 minutes later, Stephanie texted, "He just walked in. This is going to get ugly." I texted back, "Good, let it." The next week was chaos. Amanda moved out, stayed with a friend. Ryan and Stephanie separated. She filed for divorce 2 days after I did. The fitness company got wind of the affair. 2 employees, both married, 1 pregnant, and launched an internal investigation. Ryan was fired. Amanda was put on administrative leave.
The dominoes fell exactly as I'd planned. But here's the part that surprised me. 3 days after Amanda moved out, I got a call from another number I didn't recognize. "Is this Nathan Cross?" "Yes." "This is Jennifer Patel. I think my husband is involved with your wife." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I found texts between him and someone named Amanda. They've been talking for months. I didn't know she was married until I saw your name in the messages." I sat down. "Who's your husband?" "Vikram Patel. He works at the same company. He's a graphic designer." I closed my eyes. "How long?" "I don't know. The texts go back to June." June. 2 months before I found out about Ryan. "There's more," Jennifer continued. I think there might be others." Over the next week, I learned the truth. Amanda hadn't just been having an affair with Ryan. She'd been having affairs with 3 different men. Ryan, Vikram, and a guy named Carlos from her gym. All of them married, all of them thinking they were the only one. The pregnancy could have been any of theirs. When I confronted Amanda with this, she broke down completely. "I don't know what's wrong with me," she sobbed. I felt empty,
and they made me feel wanted. So you destroyed 4 marriages to feel wanted? She had no answer. The divorce was finalized in December. I kept the house, she kept her car and her debts. No alimony. Texas doesn't award it in cases of adultery. She moved to Houston, started over. I heard through mutual friends that she lost the baby, miscarriage at 12 weeks. I felt nothing. Not relief, not sadness, just nothing. Ryan and Stephanie's divorce was messier. Kids involved, custody battles. Last I heard, he's living with his parents, working at a different gym. Stephanie got the house and primary custody. Vikram and Jennifer tried counseling. Didn't work. They separated in January. Carlos's wife, Maria, filed for divorce too. 4 marriages, all destroyed by one person's inability to be honest. I stayed in Austin, kept my job, kept my house, started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand how I missed the signs for so long. My therapist said something that stuck with me. You didn't miss the signs, you chose to trust. That's not a weakness, that's love. Maybe, but it's also a lesson.
6 months after the divorce, I was at a coffee shop, working on my laptop. A woman sat down at the table next to mine, knocked over her coffee. It spilled everywhere. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she said, grabbing napkins. I helped her clean up. We laughed about it. Her name was Claire. She was a teacher, divorced, no kids, new to Austin. We talked for an hour, then 2. At the end, she said, "I don't usually do this, but would you want to grab dinner sometime?" I hesitated, not because I didn't want to, because I was scared. But then I thought about the last year, about the trash bag, the pregnancy test, the lies, and I realized I could let that define me, or I could choose to move forward. "Yeah," I said, "I'd like that." Claire and I have been dating for 4 months now. She knows about Amanda, about the affairs, about the pregnancy test. She listened without judgment, without trying to fix me. And when I told her I was scared of trusting again, she said, "That's okay, we'll go slow." Slow is good. Slow is honest. Slow is what I need. I still think about that moment sometimes, standing in my kitchen, holding that pregnancy test, deciding what kind of man I was going to be. I could have exploded, could have burned everything down in rage, but I didn't. I chose patience, strategy, evidence. And in the end, I didn't just survive, I won. Not because I destroyed her, because I protected myself. If you've ever found something that shattered your world, if you've ever had to choose between rage and clarity, if you've ever rebuilt from nothing, this one's for you. Comment, "I chose me," if this story hit home. Hit subscribe for more stories about the quiet strength it takes to walk away with your dignity intact. Because the best revenge isn't making them suffer, it's building a life they'll never